cloud. Okay. Bathroom. I know I'm terrible, man. Start reading. Oh my Lord, have mercy. Okay. All right. Let me go back to the slides. Okay. Who wants to go?
I'd love to go first.
Okay. Go ahead, Natalie.
I'm only going to answer one question because it really
Yep.
stood out to me right away was what is the one standard in your life that is non-negotiable even when it costs you something? And Al, you know me pretty well, so you've obviously heard my story, but I own a company and I still own it. And they were trying to kind of put me in a box and telling me like I couldn't talk about Jesus and I couldn't do this and I couldn't do that with the financial investors. And so for me, my non negotiable is I will always talk about Jesus. I'll always talk about my religion. That means more to me than any job ever will. So yeah.
Cool. Anybody want to
Way to
add?
way to start off with a high standard. Um, yeah, no, I would agree with you there, Natalie. And I was going to answer the same question, but mine is actually not as important or as yours is, and I am with you on that as a believer. But one kind of standard that has been essential for me the last several years is my morning routine.
Mm.
And so it's kind of a non-negotiable for me. And when I miss it, it hurts. And so sometimes it does cost me a little bit of time, a little bit of schedule, a little bit of discomfort, but it's just kind of a standard I've established for a while.
I just started 75 Day Hard, and now I am seeing why the morning routine is so important.
I
Totally.
can I can third that for sure. I've had a morning routine for quite a while, and so like meditation is one of my morning routines. And so I've been getting up at 4 o'clock every morning for quite a while, and so it costs me something to get up at 4 a.m. And so but I'm with Damien. If I don't do it, I feel it in my day, and it affects every part of my day, the way I show up. And so it 100% is a non-negotiable. And same with the Jesus. I mean, it's like just, not waking up in the morning and just speaking truth over my life. Just I mean, before my feet hit the floor, just reminding myself. And I mean, I have a mantra that I say, and it's just I am fearfully and wonderfully made, created in God's image. And I was created on purpose with a purpose, and health and wealth are my birthright. And that's something before my feet hit the floor, I say to myself every day as just a reminder. So that's a non-negotiable, just that morning routine.
Did you have that memorized or is that right in
I
front of
do have that memorized because it's something I've done every day for a very long time. So
I love that. Share that with me if you can, if you don't mind.
I
Yeah,
will.
if you could type it in the comments. I love that
I
too.
will.
I
I'll
need to
Yeah,
I'll
save
do it
it.
right
especially
now.
the last part. Yeah.
I'll do it right now.
Martin, Manny, anything to add? RBJ?
I don't know. The only thing I got is, doing loans, I guess. Just be honest. I've lost deals um, all of a sudden, like we were supposed to go one way, then all of a sudden it became a whole different story. So I lost a deal up in Florida because there was supposed to be they would have done mortgage fraud, basically.
Okay, got it. Okay, got it. It's allowed out there. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Obviously, there was a huge epidemic of it going on in Florida years ago, though, right? It was like the number one state, I think, for mortgage fraud. So that's the only reason I said it. So, all right, cool. So you tied that to you're going to stay out of prison.
Yeah, stay out of prison. One other non-negotiable is working out. I do want to work out pretty much on a daily basis, not just to, work out and have be flexible, but just for mental reasons.
Yep. Cool. Manny, RBJ, either one of you guys?
Well, I was trying to think of what exactly are kind of like my standards. I, I initially I thought of it kind of just like Like kind of like I feel like the initial comments were mainly around like routines and day-to-day stuff, and I kind of started trying to think about like, do I have any like day-to-day like consistent things that I do every day? That no matter what I try to do. Um, I'm pretty flexible with my time just because I mean I take care of my parents, they all live with me. So I don't really have like a morning routine per se, but one of the big things is definitely the exercise aspect. No matter what, if I can't go to the gym in the morning, I'll still make an effort to like last night I went on the walk at 9 o'clock at night. I got home at 8 o'clock, ate real quick and just went on a 30-45 minute walk just to try to stay active. It's something big for me. I'm a pretty like not physical, but I like to move around. I cannot be just sitting still. So even on these Zoom calls, like I always like swivel my chair back and forth. I'm tapping my feet, moving my fingers. I need to have like that movement. So no matter what, no matter where I'm at or what I do, I always make that effort to at least do some type of physical activity during the day just to kind of take some energy out and kind of relax myself a little bit. And one thing that isn't really personal, but I never kind of negotiate on is actually my nephew's soccer. Um, I make sure he goes to every game, he's at every practice. I don't care if I have to leave work early. I don't care if I have to, like, he plays on Saturday at 2 o'clock, which is like Bronco game starts at 2:30. I'm probably gonna miss the first two quarters, but to me, I'd much rather make sure um, he's involved in soccer, he's doing his thing, and um, making sure that he's just staying active with it.
Yeah. RBJ?
Yeah, this is such a great question. For me, I think it's creativity and humor. Um, just always authentically being creative and then finding the laughter, finding the joy in everything.
Yeah.
That's all.
For those of you who don't know, Ron is he is a stand-up comedian. So he he's a funny guy, man. He's a funny guy, and he's got some. We've done like a couple comedy shows, and he's brought in like some other like AK what I'd call local talent, and it's a fun evening. So one of the things is hopefully is when he does his next one, maybe that'll be a social outing, right?
Oh.
We'll all go support him at Colorado Mills when he does stand up because he's funny, and the reason I'm laughing is because of half the stuff that comes out of his mouth when he's on the stage. It's pretty memorable. I think for me, and you know, again, most of you guys know me well. I mean, obviously, I don't take a day off from working out, like ever. Like I have to be pretty much like dead, and I'll walk into Vaza, and my attitude is, they got wipes, they'll be all right, and a little bit of germs is okay for you. That's how you build up immunity, right? So I just don't take a day off, even when it's Christmas Day and it's closed. I work out at home, you know, whether I box, whether I do whatever. And then I think probably, you know, if I had to say non-negotiable and standards, I think the non-negotiable that everybody knows me for is I don't deviate from. I mean, my kids are all older now, so now it's my grandson and my two nieces we're helping raise. Like I don't deviate from their schedule. They're me picking them up from school, taking him to kickboxing, picking up my nieces on Mondays and Fridays. Like that goes in my calendar, and everything else goes around that because in a weird way, that's my time with them, and it's my quality time with them. And it doesn't mean I don't multitask or anything like that, but they're definitely a priority. And I think as far as standards, and you know, people always say like the older you get, the less people you like. I don't think that's quite the accurate statement, right? I think you just kind of draw a line where you're just not willing you're just not willing to tolerate it anymore, right? I think the older you get, you're just like, you know what, man, I don't need to tolerate this nonsense. And so maybe it's viewed as you're not as friendly or you're not as personable or whatever the case may be. But I think it is weird, right? It's kind of like, you know, I've tolerated XYZ or XYZ behavior for years, and it just doesn't align with me anymore. I'm just not going to do it, right? I'm not going to participate in it. And that's a weird industry because I'm a former psychologist, but obviously I have a huge real estate vertical, and real estate's a really, really toxic culture and a toxic environment for the most part. And I don't put myself in those environments anymore. I just won't do it. I just won't. Like Martin still goes to a lot of networking, Manny will go to a lot of networking, and I'm like, more power to both of you, and because I can't do it. So, all right, cool. Let's move on. All right. Okay, so the next one, let me make sure it moved. Did it move? Did it move, Davey? Yeah, it did. Okay. So the next one was he talks about habits, right? And how do you basically make a habit become an instinct? So the framework is under pressure, nobody performs based on intention. They default to habit. Um, and I definitely have some life examples for this one. So really, one of the three questions is what behavior in your life is currently compounding for better or worse? When you're tired, stressed, or distracted, what do you default to automatically? And which habit, if repeated consistently, would change the trajectory of the next year? And I guess the way that question could be is it could be combined with number one, where it could be taking you in a more positive direction, or it could be taking you in a more negative direction if you don't change it. Because habits are good or bad, for sure. So who'd like to start that one?
I could go.
All right, Terry.
I think for me, it's I'm recognizing my people pleasing pattern and where it's costed me. As far as shifting in from this, being a hospital nurse in the hospital into going into my own business and going into the trauma recovery coaching stuff. And so I'm recognizing it and just working my way out of it. And so I know what it's costed me. And so I know that I'm the only one that can get myself out of it. So I think it's a win that I recognize when I'm in it. And so I count that now as a win. Before I was really, it was more like shame and then just kind of get myself stuck in the root of the pattern and then just not able to get out and just on this hamster wheel and starting all over again and realizing that the pattern was actually just the self-judgment and shame and being really hard on myself. And so now I, just taking the next step and just, not having to be perfect and, celebrating the progress. And so I think for me, it's just recognizing I'm in the pattern and then just taking the next step forward. What is it that I can do right now that will move me towards where I'm going?
And just to clarify, the shame is your feeling as in
It's self-inflicted because I start to feel shame for not doing the things I feel like I should be doing.
okay, got it.
So it's being recovering from people pleasing and perfectionism, I put these high expectations on myself that probably nobody can reach, and then I get really hard on myself which is a pattern of something I've done for a long time. So just recognizing when I'm in it and then just having grace for myself. So I always go back to this repeated grace, grace, and just do the next thing that you can do right now
Got it. Okay.
and celebrating those wins.
Got it. Yeah, thanks. Who's next?
I'll go. I'll kind of answer that last one is which habit, if repeated consistently, would change the trajectory of the next year. And it's a habit I'm currently doing, but I struggle with doing it consistently. And that is planning my day the night before and planning my week the Sunday before. I notice when I do that, I'm more effective with my time. I'm getting, objectives and tasks covered and completed. And it's better time management. And then if I fall off of that, then it's kind of letting the day direct me. And so it's helpful that I have that morning routine to start my day. But if I don't plan the rest of the day, sometimes I'm kind of just there going with the wind. And so right now I'm currently planning, every minute of every day. And so it's good. So if I consistently can do that, I think it will change my trajectory. So.
Yeah, and those are those two principles, like using Sunday night and using workday shutdown routine, those are just as important as a morning routine, right? And if I ever do like time management speeches, I talk about that, like how the workday shutdown routine, so that you know what you're doing the next day, or you can send out 3, 4 emails the night before. It actually just buys you time in the morning aka to do your morning routine or to spend more time or to not feel as so stressed. And so those are two good ones. And the Sunday night one, I actually learned from a guy who was very, very wealthy out of Salt Lake City, and he was a Mormon, and he called me on a Sunday night one day, and I was like, "What's up, man? You all right?" And he was like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, just prepping for the week." And I go like, "I thought you like you don't like work on Sundays." He goes, "Oh, every Sunday night, buddy." He goes, "I prep for the week." And I dug a little deeper in there. I mean, this guy was worth like 50 million, right? And I dug a little deeper and in that because I felt like he gave me a golden nugget, right, for what to do on a Sunday night to prepare for the week. And I've implemented it ever since. So yeah, those are two really, really good ones. So really good ones. All right,
I
who's
think
next? Oh,
to add to that a little bit is as the thing I notice is it helps me sleep better too, right? So I'm not in my head thinking, well, I got to do this tomorrow. I better remember to do this. So if I have a planning session in that evening, I've written it down so I can kind of let it go until the next day.
correct, correct, correct. Yep, great tips. Who else? Who else on habits?
I have I can answer like one and three together, I guess, because there's two things that I'm kind of doing differently this year. First, more or less from a personal aspect, I agree with what you were saying earlier, Al, that I just turned 33 and I'm at the point where same, I don't like dealing with people's behaviors if I don't feel they align with my views or they align with what I'm trying to do or how I'm trying to live my life, then I kind of push them away from both the personal and the business aspect. So yeah, real estate is definitely can be a very toxic environment. So what I'm doing this year is I've actually cut off a couple of realtors that I was working with before. Even though if they were like good producers, they brought in good leads or good additional income for me. I cut a couple of them out just because I didn't think the money was worth it at the end of the day. And you can always build new relationships with people that are more aligned with your views, your beliefs, your work systems. And I think that if I continue to repeat that and I'm just a lot more cognizant of who I'm working with and who I want to work with, types of business relationships I want to have, I think that's really going to benefit me in the long run for two reasons. One, more peace in my world, right? I'm not going to have crazy agents calling me at 9, 10 o'clock at night because they feel everything is urgent and the world's on fire. But two, I think it'll actually bring me more from a money standpoint, more income as well. Because if I'm less stressed, I feel like I have more advantage of my time and feel like I have more control over my life. The other thing that I'm doing from a business standpoint as well is I actually started using a goal tracker this year. Before I used to just write down like a large goal, um, like in business standpoint, from origination standpoint, how much I want to originate in loans that year. This year I have it kind of created a spreadsheet that breaks it down from my annual business plan to my monthly business plan, weekly time blocking, and kind of daily trackers that helps me track key activities like phone calls, number of applications taken, number of credit reports pulled, and number of contracts received per day, per week. So it's just helping me stay more aligned. And same, feel like if I'm able to do this, I should be able to essentially see some exponential growth in my business, I believe.
Cool. Um, yeah, a couple things is there's a lot of good content and it's kind of fairly recent, I think, is where a lot of these whatever billionaire guys, I mean, just they're in the they're in the top 1% of the world, is they've really taken a kind of a global message about build the right systems, and if you have the right systems, the results will come. Very interesting framework when you really think about that, right? Especially like AKA in our real estate business, where it's always like, okay, what do you want to make? And okay, let's take out what your brokerage is going to make and what your TC is going to make and all this good stuff, right? And then, okay, and what's your conversion? And okay, how many phone calls a week, right? It's just like, okay, that's fine and dandy, but it's still not helping you change your behavior, right? Because you got to change your daily behavior to do XYZ. And Terry, I see you have your hand raised. So we do have a couple new people. Stephanie just joined us. That's Damien's wife, just for you guys know. And then Pilar just joined us, and that's one of my son's former college teammates. So, and RBJ had to go. Oh, because his crazy ex-wife was like, "We need to talk now."
Oh,
He was like, "Sorry, brother," and I'm like, "Oh, you should have just stayed on." And so, anyway, he's dealing with family stuff. So, Terry, or whatever you want to call it.
No, it just brought something up when Manny was saying that, because I took an hourly. I'm focusing on stuff I'm creating, but I took an hourly monthly that I wanted to create, and I kind of did what you did and backtracked what I needed to create to get up to that hourly. So kind of the same framework of what different things could I create as far as content goes, like workshops, speaking engagements, would I have to get to be able to get to that monthly. So I thought that was really helpful, and it helped us give me direction on, oh, what are other things that I could do that could get me to that, because then the monthly amount didn't seem like such this massive amount. And then when I broke it down, I thought, oh, this is so doable. So that was really helpful to do that. It sparked something when you said that, Manny.
And one thing, one thing about habits and instinct, I'd like to share this, and then the rest of the group can go, is that so I came out of the criminal justice environment, and I was a use of force instructor, and I fought in the ring for years. And one of the things that even when I fought in the ring, is that everything has to be instinctual, right? Everything has to be instinctual, so that, and my analogy, even when I coach today, is like when you're exhausted, and this will go to question two, like when you're exhausted and you're tired and you can't breathe, or somebody, you just got caught with 3, 4 good shots, right? And you're just like, oh my Lord, what am I doing? It's that you're going to go back to your instincts, and that's how ingrained they have to be, right? Is just when everything is going wrong, what is your default that you're going to do to get yourself back going in the right trajectory, right? So what do you think about that in, an athletics environment, or a personal environment, or a professional environment, right? It's just what's that light switch that's going to go off in your head, that's going to go back to those habits that are now instincts, because you've repped them out so many times. Like you've just done things thousands and thousands, 5,000, 10,000 times, that habit is now just instinctual. It's just absolutely instinctual. So when you think about that and the amount of effort you have to take, aka from a habit you're trying to implement, to drive it to be instinctual, it takes time, right? And it takes work, and it's going to get challenged, and it's going to get tested, right? And you're going to want to give up, and things of that nature. And Stefan Pilar, what we're doing is we just kind of created 3 questions per frame work of the book, just to give basically focused conversation. So, and we're just kind of round robin it. The frame is up there. So we're on actually frame number 2, where we're talking about habits and instincts. So feel free to jump in. And I think for myself, as I'm talking, a couple things I changed this year is, I'm 55, right? And I still feel like I have a lot of energy and a lot of drive and a lot of gusto, but sometimes that late night work is non-productive, right? Because I'm just tired. I'm tired. My brain is tired. I'm physically tired. Like I'm tired. So one of the things I've had to kind of do is kind of say, okay, man, dude, you just gotta stop, right? Because the work you're doing, it's going to take you a half hour to do something that should take you 3 minutes, and what you're going to put out is trash, because you're not at 100%, right? You're just not at 100%. So like Terry used the word, you had to give yourself grace. Like if it wasn't important, I had to realize, like, okay, let me just put this on that workday shutdown to be done tomorrow, where I am fresh and I'm straight out of the gym. And that's where I get my best work done, is when I come home from the gym, because I'm still powered up on pre-workout and all kinds of stuff, and I can work really, really fast. And so that's one habit that I've had to change. And then for myself, even though I aka take no days off, I intentionally created a really, really hard workout to get back to that like elite athleticism, not physically, even because that's default, but mentally. where every day in the gym I am like pushing myself like unbelievably hard as if I was an elite athlete, because that mental push and that competitiveness kind of thing that comes out like the one more, I'm like, okay, you know what, we're gonna like get after it, and to where you're turning heads, you know, kind of thing. So those are a couple of habits for me that I'm focused on in 2026. But who else wants to go? Martin, you got anything around habits?
The only the so I would answer question number two. One thing that kind of stood out the phrase in the book was habit makes cruise control. So basically, when I am stressed or distracted or something like that, I just revert back to my routine list. I go back to my to-do list and to get me focused as far as, what things that I need to do. So I have so of course I'm brain dead in the morning. So I do have my morning routine because if it's all step by step of everything that I have to do. But during the day, when I do get distracted or something, my to-do list kind of brings me back to my focus, and it just makes the day keep going, keep flowing.
Got it. Got it. Natalie, you want to go? You're muted. Yeah, you're muted.
They should have like a little sign on the
Okay,
side that
found
says
it.
you're muted.
Sorry. Um, I I don't have a question that I wanted to answer, but I did want to just say something that you spoke on really quickly, and kind of reiterate it because it was something that I had just recently read in a book that I'm working on. But it's all about like the goal setting and how you're never going to actually accomplish those goals if you don't become the person that can reach those goals. So I actually had no intention in doing the 75-day hard, but I started to get really like when I was writing on my goals, I realized they're the same goals that I've had the last 5 years and I've never actually reached them. And so when I read that, I was like, wow, that's so true. I haven't become the person that even deserves these goals. So I have to be disciplined in myself and making sure that I can reach these goals. So I have like a morning routine and I am doing like the 75-day hard. So it's honestly just skyrocketed me in being able to start to reach those goals now. So that's all I wanted to say on that.
Cool. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Pilar or Steph? Steph, it looks like you're done driving. So either one of you guys want to chat about your habits or?
For me, what I like the main thing I kind of got out of the book was a lot of just mindset and kind of like planning my days more. So when I wake up, I actually have a plan of what I want to do each day and like the things I need to accomplish within the time frames. So I kind of started, I liked how it said in the book. He like split out his days into like three different from like 8 a.m. to like 12. That's one day for him, and then like 12 to 4, that's another day. So kind of like making it more concise of what I need to do so I don't procrastinate more, especially with going back to school and stuff. I'm going to have more stuff I need to do. So definitely just being able to set out a plan for me each day before I even wake up. So as soon as I wake up, I know exactly what I need to do.
Yeah, that's an interesting concept in the book because even when we did this book in the physical book club, that would have been 2024, I think. Um, I think we talked about that thing of like 8 to 12, 12 to 6, 6 to 12. And I don't know, like I feel like he needs to give more context to that, right? Because I mean he kind of goes over that superficially, right? But how do you really implement that in a world where sometimes you're waiting on other people to respond?
Mm.
And they don't always respond with the same level of quickness, right? I mean, the world has gotten faster, right? With just cell phones, let's just say, right? Where people can check emails, text messages, and things of that nature. But I personally know people who will not send an email from their phone. They wait until they get back in front of a computer. They uh, and I know this is going to sound terrible, but they won't read a text message while driving, let alone respond to the text message while driving. And we all know, we all do it, right? And so you're like, they'll wait for like 2 hours, and you're like, what have you been doing? Like, because you're waiting on some sort of response. So I kind of almost wish he would go into further depth, but also bring it into 2026 and how fast the world is moving. And now we're incorporating AI, which is making things faster and faster and faster and faster and faster, right? On how he actually accomplishes that. So that's a unique thing, because that stood out to our physical book club group as well, but none of us could really figure out, how do you actually implement that? And how do you implement it like the way he was saying how you implement it? So yeah, interesting takeaway that you got from it. So Steph, anything to add on habits and instincts and compounding behavior, good, bad, or indifferent?
I came in on that last part about, oh, sorry, Damien and I are in the same room
Oh,
on the same Zoom. When you were talking about instinct, and that's so true that I do tend to go, I call it like my monkey mind, like I go back into chaos because that's kind of my instinct. I'm more of a type B person, and so I'm really using personal development to really help me to structure myself and my life. So I don't know where I was going at that point, but just that that's where I usually go to, is my instinct is chaos. And so that's definitely something I'm working on in this new year for sure.
got it. Okay. Well, so I mean, that's where you were going, right? Is that you recognize that when you get tired or distracted, etc., you tend to go to chaos, and you're trying to make a conscious decision to not go to chaos,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. Got it. Okay, cool. Well, let's go on to the next one. So this is, he talks about one more try. And I added some of my own context here of, you know, when do you know that you've got to pivot, right? I did a video years ago on YouTube that talked about, is quitting okay, right? Or is failure okay? I can't remember what I told it. I'd have to find it, and I can send it to you guys. And my whole premise was, at what point do you know, like, at what point can you say, hey, I'm going to stop doing this, but I'm going to pivot and I'm going to do this? So because you kind of realize, like, it doesn't resonate with you, or it's not really working, or it's not you. So it's not that you've given up on the overarching framework, but you've decided maybe that the vehicle to achieve that is going to be changed. Like, you're going to drive a different vehicle. Um, and I actually got this statement trademarked, and I threw it in here, but I think, the idea of one more, it starts with having to make one decision. So I trademarked one decision away. I trademarked. It was a nightmare of a process, because obviously a lot of people use it, right? So in theory, I could go out suing all these billionaires that use it on their YouTube videos because they don't have a trademark. But that was not my intention. It was just a tagline I was using, that was, you are one decision away. So instead of compounding the world, or compounding whatever you're going after, and you make it 100 decisions, it just starts with one. And then once you make that decision, you make another decision. Once you make that decision, you make another decision. Once you make that decision, you make another decision, right? And my whole thing was, how do we break down something big by one decision? That was my whole premise for doing it. So that's basically what he talks about, right? And he talks about just giving it one more try, and persistence, right? But where I'd like to direct it to is, persistence is great, but when do you know where persistence is no longer aligned and you got to make a pivot? I wanted to take it a little bit, like, one more deeper, not to be funny. But so the questions are, how do you personally know where one more try is discipline versus stubbornness? Where might persistence actually be delaying a smarter adjustment? What signal tells you it's time to change instead of doubling down? And I guess there's a fourth question here, but I've got to move all you guys in Zoom. Damien, what's the fourth question? I can't see. What decision once made would make one more actually work? So who wants to go? There's kind of a lot in there.
I think I can start. Well, I actually had this conversation with you, Al. earlier last year, well, kind of towards the end of last year, where I don't know if it was time to make a pivot because I was kind of in this weird funk where I just wasn't really happy with the work I was doing. And once again, I kind of go back to kind of the people I was working with, the real estate agents I was working with, and I don't know whether I don't know whether I was being stubborn by not wanting to make a move and possibly go back to like commercial banking, which is what I did before, or if I should be a little more stubborn and stick with mortgages. And we actually did that. What is that chart called?
The culture index
The
assessment.
culture index, yeah. And it aligned perfectly. And I think that was kind of the um I guess quote the kind of like answer in question number three. I guess that was kind of the signal to tell me I should still stick with this job, but I need to pivot a little bit more and figure out that where I kind of shine a little bit more is definitely on the customer call side, is on the sales side, it's on the business development and retention side. Um, so that's kind of where I made the decision to get into question number four, is where I made the decision that I need to pivot the work that I do and the people that I work with and start cutting off the people that were essentially making my life a little bit more difficult at work and kind of pivot a little bit more towards I want to be more like in an advisor role, more of a management role rather than just strictly staying in sales, rather than strictly just working on trying to get applications or trying to get as much as I can. Trying to find those relationships that would essentially help me become more of kind of the business management role. So what I'm doing now differently this year compared to last year is, like I said, I've cut off a couple of real estate agents I've worked with before, and I'm actually in the process of trying to create like affinities or business relationships with banks and financial institutions where they send over leads that they can't work with. They send them over my way. I work them or I pass them on to someone here in my team to work them, and then we both split the commissions between the financial institution and our company. So I guess that's kind of a story to kind of answer these questions.
Got it. Okay, got it. Yeah, sounds good. And Natalie had to jump off too. She didn't she has another one. Terry, go ahead.
For me, I have gotten, because of my morning routine and meditation and stuff, I have gotten very in tune with my body. And so I pay attention to the signals my body's telling me. And so I never, I mean, I just think that I don't believe in failure. I think it's just feedback for me. And so I just listen to what my body's telling me. And so I just adjust to that. And so I believe as I'm working in this season, especially in 2026, which has been like the last probably part of 2025, just feeling more aligned in where I believe the vision is God has given me, and I becoming in more alignment with that through, I call my meditation time my time with God, my meeting place with him, and just getting the downloads there. And I'm so solid on where I know he's taking me that when I'm not in alignment with something, I feel it in my body and I know that it's time to adjust. And so if I'm working harder, I'm not doing something right. So it's something in my body. And if I pay attention to that, I don't know, something happens and I feel like it feels like maybe people might see it as me working harder, but it doesn't feel like I'm working harder. I feel like I'm working aligned and more purposeful, and things just seem to flow more. So I pay attention to signals within my body.
That's it. That's actually very, very interesting. Very interesting. And I don't know how many of you follow Eric Thomas, but
I do. I love him.
he's on YouTube. I think his moniker is Eric the Hip Hop Preacher. He's one of the most. I mean, he's in the top 10 of the world's most notorious speakers right now, like him, John Maxwell, Tony Robbins. Like he's in that category, where he makes probably $500,000 to do a 30-minute speech. He's in that category, but he always talks about what's your assignment.
Yeah.
And I think this whole thing about one more try, persistence, pivoting, one decision away. I was listening to a lot of his videos at the end of last year, and I've always been a fan of him. And the recurring message was, "What's your assignment?" Right?
Mm-hmm.
What's your assignment? If you can figure out your assignment, and put value on your assignment and then build the systems, everything else comes from there. So continue to ask yourself, is this in line with my assignment, right? Which I think now you're taking it one level deeper, that your body rejects, your body tells you, right? Whether it's your gut, your heart, your brain, it tells you when you're off track, right? It tells you when you're in a bad relationship. It tells you when you're in a bad decision, right? It gives you enough warning signs. Are you just smart enough to listen to them? Right?
Yeah, I think when you can get your heart, that gut, heart, mind aligned, I think I just think that's flow. And the more I can stay there and I listen to the body and don't argue with it, I just feel like things become more effortless.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm a big gut guy and going with my instinct. And I terminated a business relationship at the end of last year for two people I was going to go into business with this year. And one guy just kept, your red flag radar keeps going up, going up, going up. And I was like, you know what? I'm listening to my gut. It doesn't matter how much I like the other guy. They're 50-50 partners, and I don't want to do business with this guy. I don't want to be aligned with this guy. And maybe I'm wrong, but the fact that his
partner, and it's been really interesting and really has helped me grow and really in that self-trust, especially because of my past. Is even when they're like believers and stuff and people that you really trust, and there's just like these red flags that you're just like, oh my gosh, I got to pay attention to that, and people that you just wouldn't suspect, and just trusting it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep.
Position or title doesn't give doesn't yield trust, right? It's that they're just in a position with a title. Doesn't really necessarily translate to anything beyond that. They're in a position and they have a title, and that's about it. So, all right, who else wants to add on this one more try, pivoting, one decision away? When do you know enough is enough? And I'm gonna go down a different road.
I'll add to that just because I think Terry's point was really good about just trusting you the way you feel and your body and things like that. And I would agree with that wholeheartedly. And I'll add one layer to that that's more business related, and that's just when it becomes painful, right? So our body, we feel pain, but we can feel pain in our bank accounts and in our time management. And so sometimes if you're spinning your wheels and you're spending a lot of time, the results are there, and then you're seeing downward trends in your finances and stuff like that. So sometimes that's a sign, and I can think of some instances where that's been the case for me, and then realizing it's time to make an adjustment. So
yeah, good one. Anybody else want to add to this?
I'd like to add a little bit, kind of just about my association that I had with people. So kind of after starting like my business and stuff, one thing I learned quickly was like you are who you surround yourself around, and kind of the association of if they don't have a like-minded, not necessarily they have to be like-minded as you, but if they don't fit into your goals that you have set for yourself, it might be better to let go of that relationship. And that's something I just learned with friends, some family that could be negative with things I want to try and do with my life, or that I just have different goals and aspirations than they did, just because to them it seems different what I'm trying to do than what they've done their whole life.
Yeah, that's actually great insight, especially how young you are. And I think what I've coached a lot of people on, and I premise with myself is that not everybody wants to be a millionaire, right? Not everybody wants to go live in Aruba. Not everybody wants to like have a nonprofit and things of that nature, right? And I think sometimes you can get caught up in that world, especially when you're in entrepreneurship, and those are the common themes, right? Those are the common themes. Make a ton of money, create a foundation, give back, right? Those are the common themes. Does that make sense? So my advice to you that I've learned along the way is that might be right for you, right? That you want to achieve all these things, and maybe there's a few people in your circle that want to achieve all these things. But for example, like we have a fraternity brother, right? Him and his wife are very conservative. They're both W-2 income earners, things of that nature, right? they have zero desire to become millionaires or have a foundation or have a charity or do anything like that. Does that make sense? So in layman's terms, people would be like, or they're not, or they're not willing to take a risk to do something I'm doing or Damien's doing or Steph is doing or whatever the case may be, right? So in layman terms, people would be like, oh, well, circle yourself around these people, right? And what I've learned over the years is that what you really want is that what I will tell you is that the couple I'm talking about will give their skin off their back to support me and Damien and Steph, even though it's not their vision. Does that make sense? Even though it's not their desire to maybe have some of the things that we want, they'll still support us and be there for us to achieve our goals. And to me, that's been like hitting the nail on the head, is you surround yourself by people who want to see the greatest version of you.
Mm-hmm.
And the greatest version of you could be different than the greatest version of themselves. And also, along the journey is that just because somebody is AKA playing devil's advocate, sometimes that's powerful because it makes you think, right? It makes you adjust, it makes you pivot. So you have to also decipher when someone is being negative versus being pragmatic and realistic, because one of the problems with us as entrepreneurs is we have what's called the shiny object syndrome. And you'll learn that, Pilar, as you get older in life, right? Is, man, dude, we get entertained by a lot of different stuff, right? Because we're entrepreneurial, right? And sometimes we need somebody to reel us back in. They got to reel us back in a little bit and be like, go back to Eric Thomas, what's your assignment?
Yeah.
Does this line up with your assignment, right? Do you have the time to do this? And I'm really guilty of stuff like that. Really, really guilty.
Me too.
And so just to put that, I just wanted to give you a little bit more context on that, because I don't think there's a lot of literature about the viewpoint I just shared, right? Kind of thing like that. It's, at the end of the day, if somebody wants the best for you and they're willing to support you, just because they don't want it, you don't alienate people like that. And the problem with these entrepreneurship conferences is they'll tell you, oh no, like you can't surround yourself by people that don't want the same thing as you. But they still want it for you though. They want it for you. Like if they pray, they want it for you. If you ask them to support, they support you. Does that make sense? So
Yeah.
you'll find that. But what you're trying to avoid to support your point is just the naysayers, right? The negative, the toxicity, the naysayers. And I think I told you, when we connected privately, the greatest thing to do is just be quiet and get to work and let your results prove where you're headed, right? It's not your job to convert people, right? It's just not your job, right?
Mhm.
So it's it's hard. It's hard if it's family or someone who's close to you because you want better for them. But it's just like talking to a brick wall, and it's okay, right?
Yeah.
Let them live their life running into a brick wall,
Mhm.
kind of thing. Anybody else? And if not, I want to pivot to the fourth point, and then we'll wrap it up for today. Anyone else where this is sticking out like a sore thumb?
The only thing I really got is kind of like L. I'm kind of separating myself from from my processor just because she just doesn't she's stuck in her just bubble, and I kind of want to expand a little bit more, and I can't bring her along because she's just gonna not want to grow or not want to grow with me. So even though I've offered that, I'd say, hey, let's do this together. She basically flat out said no. So it just goes back to what I told someone is, some people just want to be the cashier at a Safeway and don't want to do more than that, and can't force them, and that's what they want to do. That's their joy.
Yep. 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 I had a college professor, and this will date me, but he said we need people to work the Kmart blue light special. Right? And he goes, without them like enjoying their job and taking it seriously, there wouldn't be a Kmart blue light special. Perlar's probably like, what in the world is Kmart, right? But it used to be a store, kind of like a Walmart, right? And they had a blue light special, and everything was super discounted, and they'd literally have a blue light going on the store when you walked in. But you needed
They
somebody to work that blue light special,
they
right?
sold champion gear, okay?
Yeah. So it's yeah, they're non-existent now. But yeah, you do and that's the thing. If that's where they want to be and you're moving at a faster track, then they're either gonna support you or they're just not gonna get in your way. You know, kind of thing like that, right? It's is what it is. All right, let's go to the final point for today, and it's not the final point in the book. Clearly, we'll do this book on next month's call again because there's actually what I thought was 8 value points, and Damien agreed. So this one is he talks about possibility achievers and modeling. And people persist when success feels inevitable, not motivational. So the questions are, what example or model convinced you something was possible for you? Where do you want certainty without having evidence yet? Who are you watching that makes success feel normal instead of exceptional?
Mm.
Steph, why don't you go with that?
Well, I do a lot of service work, as Terry does as well, and you know, it's hard to measure service work, but to me that's the level I strive to be, is exceptional in everything that I do in serving. And so it's not always measurable, because it is service. Um, but that's when I was thinking about feeling like success is exceptional. In that area, that's where I feel like it's exceptional, is my serving.
um, so if you think about, right, what came to mind when you said that was 2 people came to mind, Mother Teresa and Gandhi, right?
Yeah. Yeah, they were exceptional in their
Correct.
work.
Right? I mean, they transformed the world,
Yes,
right?
exactly.
In their work. And if I think to a present day example that we're probably all seeing on social media, is the Buddhist monks that are walking from
Yeah.
Houston to DC just to be like, can we not all just get along? Right?
Yeah.
Like, can we not have a world a world where we respect each other and we're just
Yeah.
peaceful and we're kind to one another?
Yeah.
And so you think about that, right? They're Buddhist monks that are being embraced immensely
Mhm.
in, and you think about the route that they're taking, right? There's many ways to walk from Houston to Washington, D.C. Do you think that it's intentional? They're walking through southern states? Just saying.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah.
I guarantee you it's intentional, the states they're going through, where there's obviously a lot of decisiveness, right? Things of that nature, trying to aka in their mind preach one word, which is peace, and they are being embraced like you wouldn't believe, right? I mean, it's crazy. Like, those guys are probably dominating social media as much
Hmm.
as our current day president is. They're probably both battling for like who's number one, right? Because those guys, I mean, they are their their behavior is going to change the world at 2026. Does that make sense? Like,
Yeah.
just by them deciding, you know what, we're going to band together and let's just walk for peace and unity, right? So I think when you think about, yes, you do volunteer a lot. And I think the thing is, like, sometimes, like, with volunteer work, you never really know how much you impacted somebody.
Hmm.
Sometimes you never know, or way down the road, right?
Yeah.
When you hear of something life altering for them, and it was like, it was something you did or something you said or you gave me belief that day or whatever the case may be, right? Like,
Hmm.
because you never know what people are going through, right? um who else on this one? Who are you watching? Who are you guys modeling? Who's telling you keep going?
I can go. So for me, certainty without evidence doesn't exist. I just don't think you can have certainty without um I just think there is no certainty. And then who are you watching that makes success feel normal? I don't think success I don't think it ever feels normal. I think you have to stay consistent, and it's not easy. Like, I think you can be exceptional in what you do and just keep showing up, but I don't think it's easy. I think social media can make it look like somebody got there easily, but I think all of us here know that it's not easy. Example of model convinced you something was possible for you. I think his book, just the book, and go out and find the people that you once were and serve them well. So I just feel like that's my purpose, is just that, going and serving people that I once was. And so that's what, like Stephanie said, I feel like that's what I'm doing as far as service work. I'm a registered nurse, so I do service people in the hospital, and I don't always get to see the impact that I make on people, but I do have people that I'm so blessed do share that with me. But then I do, spend time with women at the prison, and I do get to see the impact that and the changes that they make in their life. And so, no, I don't get to see it outside of there, but I do get to see the impact that it's making on their life in there. And so, that fuels that burning desire in my heart, and it keeps me going. It's like rocket fuel for what I'm doing in the world, and I just know that it just continue. I guess that is the certainty that I know I'm living my purpose. Maybe I can go back and answer that.
Yeah, got it. When I think question two, because I'm rereading it, right? I think it needed a little bit more context and it probably would have made more sense. Is I think it's, where do you want certainty without having evidence results for you right now? Does that make
Okay.
sense? Right, right.
So
Like,
maybe I just
yeah,
answered that because I've had the results in the prison and stuff that I'm
correct.
seeing. Yeah, okay, got it.
Right. And then so I think it could be, now that I'm rereading it, probably could have been worded a little bit differently.
So it does. It fuels the it's like rocket fuel to what I'm doing, because it gets me it wakes me up and continues me wanting to do that morning routine, and it just fuels everything because I'm just so passionate about continuing to show up.
Yeah. Yeah. And I do want to elaborate on one thing you said. It's social media, right? The toxicity. Obviously, Natalie, Damien, right? They're taking a 21-day break. We already talked about, could they do something to move their business forward, but stay off of scrolling per se.
Yeah.
But I think the biggest thing is, and I just did a speech to 50 realtors last week, and I told them, is you got to be really careful of comparing yourself to people on social media, because you don't even know if what they're
Absolutely.
posting is accurate, right? So people could act like they have these great relationships, or they're in love, or they're super fit and all this other nonsense, right? You have all these tripods at the gym and all of it, just nonsense. That's what you have. It's nonsense. And you're comparing yourself, but the problem is you're comparing yourself because, for example, somebody gets 2 million views and you're like, why? Like, but I provided like real value and I got 3. You know what I'm saying? And the question is, you don't know if they bought those views. You don't know. You have no idea, right? You have no idea. And so I think you got to be really cautious of just comparing yourself to what you're seeing on social media. So like one of the things I told those 50 realtors that were in the room is, I said, look, you have no idea whether these people are really successful realtors or not. But if you're in a big enough company, the company provides a list of the, let's say top 10 people internationally. Well, now you have proof because the company just substantiated that these were the top 10 agents in your company internationally. Well, now you could go and Google those 10, or Facebook search those 10, or TikTok those 10, right? And now you can say, okay, you at least now know there's proof in the pudding that they were getting results. Now, though, the real question is, you have to ask yourself, do you align with their messaging?
Yeah.
Right? Just because they became a superstar one way, does that align with your messaging? Right? Does it align with your messaging? And if it doesn't, then you got to go to the next person, right? And you find the one person who you've got some sort of proof that they're very successful, and you figure out, does your messaging align with theirs, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you can
Agreed.
duplicate. Now you can duplicate, but you don't use it to compare, you use it to
Oh,
duplicate.
absolutely not.
You use it
Yeah.
as a tool to grow, right? So, and I think that's true in any industry or any personal goal or anything like that, right? Is be cautious who you're comparing yourself to, right? And you know, and that's a tricky one in today's world, because unfortunately social media is too easy, and it's too easy to be fake. You know, it's just too easy to be fake. So, anybody else on who you're following, or someone's giving you great belief, to stick with it, like you can do this, and things of that nature.
I'd like to hit on the who are you following and watching. Like since starting my network marketing business and stuff like that, a lot of it's really coming from my uplines and then also just the people in the environment around me. Um, and just kind of seeing like when I go to these big events, like I before this, I kind of thought like business, like entrepreneurs are all like fancy and like all this stuff. And then kind of like being able to get around the environment, just seeing like people are building this outside of their normal lives and they're all normal people. So just seeing that like I don't have to try and compare myself to be something like I'm not right now. And it's just I'm gonna keep building that. And that at the end of the day, like everyone here is the same inside. We're all just normal people trying to better our lives and stuff like that. Um, and then kind of like the model and example was just when I got introduced to this type of business. I've always just had like a business mindset, and I feel like a lot of people, they just like don't know where to start. And that's how I was. I was like, I really don't know where to start. Like, how do I even start something like this? So just seeing kind of how this business works and like what it can do for you and it gives the options it gives you in life. Because I used to kind of look at money as just like a materialistic, like I can get this, I can do that. But now I look at it more of it gives me more options to do stuff in my life and have different opportunities that I didn't have before.
Yep, yep, yep. Um, here's a little tagline I use when I present about money. Money creates opportunities. You're the one that decides what kind of opportunities when you have the money. Does that make sense? Opportunities for
Mhm.
yourself, opportunities for your family, opportunities for others, opportunities for people in a different country. You're the one that determines where the opportunities lie once you have the money. But there's no way to create the opportunities without the money. And that's unfortunately a proven fact, right? And so, yeah, yeah, you're learning a lot. You're a young guy starting, starting an entrepreneurial journey. So, and it is all about the journey and the lessons, and you're catching on, right? And Damien and Steph, that's why you talked to Damien the other day, right? They had a very successful network marketing business for a number of years that they poured a lot of effort into, you know, but they got good results, not only financially, but just changing people's body images and weight loss. And I mean, that was the whole premise behind it, right? Their self-esteem.
Mhm.
I mean, going way deeper than making $1 off of selling a feeling, kind of thing. Like
Yeah.
it goes way deeper than that. Yeah, way deeper than that. Anybody else got anybody they're really following and stuff like that? And if not, I'll end with a couple of my tidbits because we're over by 2 minutes, and we'll make sure you guys have the date and times for the next event, and we'll finish up the book. Good. Okay. Um, so actually, one of the things I do is there's a couple guys that I really like. Eric Thomas is one. Myron Golden is another one. Really good. And so they all have YouTube channels, stuff like that. Wall Street Trapper is another one of my good ones. He's a guy that did a bunch of time in prison, learned how to trade stocks, and he does some good stuff. He's still a little thug, like still a little raw from the streets, but he's got some good powerful messages out there, and he's doing a lot of stuff to change the community. So I have my favorites that I listen to every morning, and that's kind of pretty much. I rarely listen to music at the gym anymore. It's pretty much YouTube, and I listen to it at 1.5, sometimes 2, and then I slow it down when I need to, and things of that nature. But there's definitely and depending on the place you're at in your life, it's interesting. You can watch a video that you watched a year ago, and it gives you a complete different message just because you're at a different place a year later, and or you skip something. Even reading this book twice, I don't know, Damien or Manny, if you guys had this, but when we read the book once, like when I re-listened to this, because I was in a different lens of like, okay, you're the guy that's got to facilitate this Zoom. I listened to it at 1.0. I didn't fast forward it to 1.5 or 2 like I did when we had our book club. And there were things that I missed the first time because I was listening to it too fast, or maybe I just wasn't in a place where I wanted to receive it. So, with that being said, there's something in the chat, Damien. Was it anything? Oh, you're talking about Myron. Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely a Myron comment right there.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. All day, every day. That's a Myron comment. Okay, so the next one is, so I think what we decided was the third Thursday of the month, right, Damien? Third Thursday of the month. So the next one will be February 19th at 11 Denver time. The good news is, there's four more principles that I think are just as important as the four we discussed. So you can definitely invite more people because they have enough time to read the book, right? And we'll probably post a recording, or I don't. We'll figure out what we're gonna do with some of this of what we talked about today, just and put it in the group. So definitely, the goal is to grow the group. So if you know like-minded people that you think would benefit from this and like to participate, then we'd love to have them. And also, we're willing to take ideas for books. Like, I don't want this to turn into a chore for me and Damien to be like, okay, what's the next book? Right. And we read a lot of good books when we did do the physical book club. We read a lot of good books, and I think we're open to doing some of those again for sure. They were really, really good. But if you guys have ideas, then put them, put them in the Facebook group, or send, me and Damien a message or something like that. The only thing I really ask of the book is please pre-listen to the sample on Audible, and make sure like it's like not some monolithic person that's going to put us to sleep, because some do physical reading and some do Audible. So the only thing I would ask of you is that you just preview it on Audible and just make sure that it's got a little bit of pep in our step, and it's going to be kind of exciting. So for those that do Audible, and because it's tough to get through an Audible book when somebody's really boring. Even though their content is really good, it's like, oh man, you should just have hired a professional reader. So, but some people read their own books, and it's a pride thing at that point. So we're definitely open to other books and stuff like that too. So definitely give us some ideas, and I can give you guys some of the ideas that I have on books, and you can check them out too. One of them is Unwavered Hospitality, was one that we read in the book club that I think everybody really, really liked. And that was a really, really powerful book. So that was one I was thinking about as a next book. But again, we're all scouring, so things are popping up on social media. So
Have you guys ever done Psycho-Cybernetics
never even heard of it.
by Maxwell Malt? Check it out. It's really good, but it would be really good to do as with a group of people.
What's it called?
Psycho-Cybernetics by Maxwell Malt.
Oh, got it. Okay, cool. Okay, got it. I just Googled it. Yes, I'll listen to it on the preview on Audible and stuff like that. Okay. Any final comments, thoughts, et cetera, et cetera? And also, I guess I should say this is, do we need to adjust the time a little bit, or because I know like Steph has a women's group and Pilar, like he was working, like, do we need to adjust by 30 minutes? I mean, we're in our infancy that we can adjust a little bit, right? Do you guys want to move it to like 11:30 Denver time? So that'd be 12:30 for Missouri. What do you guys want to do? And I'd like to get to an hour 15, or maybe even block out an hour and a half just to be safe. Because I'd rather have meaningful dialogue than to compress it. You know what I'm saying? So
I'm okay with keeping at the same time. I can just make sure if I have work or something like that, I can get out of that just so I have time to be in it for the full time. So I'm good with the time right now, but if anyone else wants to change, that's fine too.
okay. Steph, can you still make it work by jumping on a little bit late as you're driving home?
Yeah, we finish at 11:15.
Oh, okay.
And so I just get in my car.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because by the time we all say hi or whatever, we're just, yeah. Like, I mean, today we got started like 11:05. So, okay. All right, and again, we can if it as the group grows bigger or whatever, if we need to adjust, we can pivot just a little bit. Not a big deal. All right, guys. Well, thanks for attending and thanks for reading the book. Because we were like, man, we hope people have read the book. So we had all kinds of things going through our head, right? So you know, I would consider this a really good and also really thank you for the level of participation because that makes everything go
Yes.
so much better. So
Yeah.
yeah. All right, guys. Sounds good. So what I say, February 19th at 11 o'clock Denver time. So that's 12 for you, Pilar.
Mhm.
And we'll try to create a little bit more engagement in the group too, just to kind of keep things spearheaded and keep it going, but nothing that's too crazy, kind of stuff like that. Okay. But we
Yeah.
gotta wait till Damien's done with his 21
Me
days social
too.
media because he's kind of the Facebook administrator.
Yeah, I messaged him like at 6 o'clock this morning and said, "Can you send me the link?" So
Yeah,
thank you, Damien.
yeah. Because if not, you'd get a bunch of a white background with black text. If I'm the
Yeah.
one doing all the messaging, it wouldn't look pretty. Yeah. So, all right, guys. Cool. Well, sounds
Have a
good.
good
Thanks,
day.
everybody. And we'll connect later.
All right.
All right.
Bye,
Thank you.
everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.